All right. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, Daryl. I see you just logged in. Anyone that's not here, they'll be able to watch the video a little bit later on and kind of get caught up. So, my name's Jeff Godin. I'm one of your coaches. I don't think Jason's going to be able to join us. He is taking some personal time off, so I don't think that we'll see him jump on. But he's also one of your coaches, so you'll be interacting with him as well. And so the purpose of today is it's really twofold. I wanted to introduce myself and Jason, and just to let you know that there are people behind the scenes here that here to help you out and help you achieve the success and make sure that you get across the finish line. So I did want to introduce ourselves, and then also I wanted to spend a little bit of time, kind of going through the program, explaining a little bit about how it'll be delivered, and then show you some of the resources that you have available through Facebook, and then also just kind of leave you with our email so that you can get in touch with us if you need to, and then leave some time for some questions. Justin, I see your message about the static. Is that true for everybody? Am I coming in loud and clear? Or? All right. Thanks, Daryl. So Justin, if it doesn't improve, it might just be your connection. But if it doesn't improve, you can go back and watch the video later on and get caught up. So you'll be able to do that. All right. So there's a few ways that you can interact. Obviously, it looks like everyone's kind of found the chat window. So as I'm going through, if you have questions, you can type in the chat. If you have a question that's more involved and you'd rather just speak, you'll notice up there should be an icon. Either if you're at a desktop, it'll be at the top of your toolbar, or if you're using a mobile device, it might be on the side toolbar with an icon with an individual raising their hand. If you click on that, that'll let me know that you want to speak, and I can activate your microphone. Okay, so you're able to do that. Right. Well, great. So let me just start off with a quick introduction of myself and how I got involved in Spartan and kind of my role here. Um, so actually, my daytime job is that I'm a full professor and I teach at Fitchburg State University in the exercise and sports science department. Um, you know, obviously, growing up playing sports and getting a degree in exercise science, I just have kind of a innate interest in just all types of sports and physical activity, and really believe that physical activity is something that everybody can enjoy if they just find the thing that they love. And a while back, I just got into running a little bit more and started running marathons. Eventually, got into triathlons and eventually Ironman triathlons, and then running ultra marathons. And as I was constantly like exploring, like trying to find out where my limits were, as I stumbled upon a race that was part of this group of races called Peak Races, and the race was called the Death Race. And it was a race that was organized by Joe DeSena, and very interesting race. It has no definite start, has no definite finish. You just keep doing stuff until they say that you're done. And the first time I did that race, it really opened up my eyes to what my potential was and what my weaknesses were, and I felt that really like made an impact on me, really changed my life. And afterwards I went up and introduced myself to Joe DeSena, and told him what a great experience I had had, and that I'd be back the following year. And so, um, you know, sometime between that first death race I did and the second one is when Joe DeSena started Spartan Race, and he started it because he saw that people had a similar experience in the death race that I had, that it was little bit life changing, and he wanted to bring that experience to the masses, and so that's when he started up the Spartan Race. He wanted to create an event that was challenging and just real made people realize that they're much more capable. They can do more than they think they can, and they're stronger than they think they are. And as a result, obviously Spartan Race has taken off. It's offered, across the country. Just here in the U.S., we're going to have more than 50 races. And as the race started to explode, Joe DeSena and I were having a conversation. He was like, "Hey, how can we get like coaches and trainers involved in this? And I talked to him about the possibility of a certification. So sometime in 2011, about the same time we started up the Spartan race, we started up like a certification to get trainers and coaches kind of ready for the Spartan races, so that they could train people to get ready for the Spartan races. And so I've been involved with Spartan since then. More working with personal trainers and coaches and helping them, uh, you know, just get people ready for the races. So I've been doing that for almost 8 years now, and obviously been an avid Spartan racer myself. I do most of the local ones here in Massachusetts, and then in the summer I like to travel out to some of the mountain races. So I do have a considerable amount of experience in the races, as well as kind of the book knowledge on it. So I think I'll be a good resource for you folks and very helpful as you go through the program. And if you have some certain challenges with exercises and you need a modification, you can reach out to me. If you're looking for a way to make it a little bit more challenging for yourself, then feel free to reach out to me, and I'll try to help you out the best that I can. Okay. So that's a little bit about me. And I'm really looking forward to this group and kicking it off. Your first workout should come to you sometime soon in the next couple of hours. I think they're scheduled to come out sometime around 6 p.m. West Coast time, so that you should have those in your email box, well in advance of the workout, on the following day. All right, so I'm just going to switch my screen so that you can kind of see what the workouts will look like. So just bear with me 1 minute. All right, so this is basically what you'll see for the day one workout, and all the other workouts will look very similar. So there'll be some introductory text that kind of goes along with it. And this first email is just a reminder to join the Facebook group. So if you haven't done that, do that soon. That'll be a great way for you to post questions, to post some successes or failures that you've had through the training. Just a good way to help build that community and really get some engagement. So I'll be posting there, and I'll be looking for you folks to post if you have questions. And I'd rather have you post questions in the Facebook group than to email me directly, just because there might be other people that have similar questions, and that way everyone can kind of benefit from the response rather than me just satisfying your question. So I'd rather have it that way. But if it's something personal, private, and you don't want it to be public, by all means, feel free to email me directly. That'll be okay. Right? So make sure that you join the Facebook group. And the way that we design these workouts too is we try to design them around the obstacles. So for example, this one is kind of focused on the multi-rig. So it's really focused on like building healthy shoulders, increasing the range of motion in the shoulder, so that when you get to the obstacles, you have the fitness and you're able to perform the obstacles because you just built up properly. You have the right strength in the shoulders, you have the right range of motion, and it should help you tremendously. Right? And each workout is not going to be entirely unique. So days 1 through 6, all of the workouts will be different. But when it comes to the next week, you'll see that the workouts will start reappearing, but there'll be some type of a progression. And so the progression will usually be either in the form of more time, so you'll spend more time doing that particular exercise. It might be in the form of more repetitions. So instead of doing 8 repetitions, you do 10 repetitions. Or it might be in the form of, added resistance. Okay. So just another thing to keep in mind is that we designed this program that with the assumption that most people are just going to be doing it, at home or at work, someplace where they're not going to have a lot of equipment. So most of the exercises are just body weight movements that you can do just about anywhere. And when we do talk about adding resistance, it doesn't have to be in the form of a barbell or a dumbbell. You know, it could be a sandbag. It could be, you know, a bucket that you filled with sand or rocks. It could be just a heavy object like a water jug or, you know, a water bottle. It could be a rock. It could be a log. So sometimes, you know, just be creative in finding what that weight is. Your body doesn't care if it's a barbell or a dumbbell or if it's a rock. All it knows is that there's some external resistance that's been added to it, and now it has to adapt to it and get stronger. Okay, so the way you'll see the program progress is that it'll increase in the time in the reps or sometimes in the resistance. And the exercises will stay pretty consistent throughout. So days 1 through 6 are different, but then the following weeks you'll see those workouts start to reappear. And I think that's important too. I'd rather have you, master the movements, get really good at the exercises rather than trying to do them faster or to do them with more resistance. So sometimes you can just make it harder by just being a real stickler on your technique and your form and not breaking down. So sometimes that can increase the intensity in itself. Right? So each of the workouts will include some type of a warm up, and along with it, you'll see that there's a hyperlink within the workout. So for the jump rope, there's a hyperlink right here. That if I clicked on it, it'll open up a YouTube video so that you'll be able to see the exercises. Okay, and then also in some of the YouTube videos, I've included some description of the exercises to help explain it as well as you're watching it. Right, so there'll be a warm up, and in this particular one, there's just some like dynamic movement, and then I also added some extra shoulder mobility types of exercises. Since this is for the multi-rig, if you just read the descriptions, you might be confused. But again, there is a link there to a YouTube video that kind of shows you what these exercises are. All right, so that's the warm up, and then you get into the meat of the workout, and that's where we call it a conditioning circuit. And they'll be set up and formatted a little bit different, but there'll be an explanation of the way that you're supposed to perform it. And so this one in particular, we call it an AMRAP. So it just stands for as many, in this case, it's rounds as possible. So what you're going to do is you do a ladder. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 exercises, and the way that you do a ladder is you do 1 rep of the front squat, and then you do 1 rep of the push-up, and then you do 1 rep of the lateral ape, and then you do 1 rep of the burpees. And then you do 2 of each of the exercises, and then you do 3, and you go all the way up the ladder to 8, and then you come back down it. So you start at 8, and you go 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So the goal is to try to do as many rounds as you can in 20 minutes in this particular workout. So not all of them look the same as this. Some have like longer recovery periods, but this one just happens to be one that kind of focuses a little bit on metabolic conditioning, intended to get your heart rate up a little bit and be a little bit fatiguing. Right, and then each of the workouts ends with a cool down. So there's some type of dynamic stretching involved in, basically the same format for these stretches is consistent throughout. Just going to hold each stretch for 30 seconds. You can hold it longer if it feels good. You could do more repetitions of it if you really need to work on your flexibility. So, feel free to play with that a little bit. And then also embedded in the emails, we're going to have some videos of from our Ring the Bell series that kind of teaches you a little bit about how to do the obstacles too. So you'll be able to watch it and gain a little bit of comfort by seeing how people, perform on some of the obstacles. Okay, so that's the basic format, and like I said, days 1 through 6 will be different, but then once you get into the new week, you'll see some of the same exercises and the same formats kind of coming through again, just with an increase in the the sets, the reps, or the time, or the resistance. That's what'll change in the following weeks. So I'm going to just pause for a second, see if there's any questions so far. Okay, no questions? All right. If there's no questions, that's okay by me. And like I said, as you start to get into the program, questions might come up. You feel free to reach out through Facebook or through my email. Right. I also wanted to take a second to show you the fitness results. So if you were able to complete the form, you should have received an email a few days ago that asked you to fill out a form so that we could kind of, help you decide which version of the workouts you should do. So let me. I don't think I covered that. Let me just dive back into this for a second. Right. So you notice that for each of the exercises, there's three versions of it. There's the elite, the age group, and the open. So these are just ways that we try to scale the workout for different abilities. So if you filled out that form and you did the fitness test, I looked through the results, and based off of the results, I kind of, made an informed decision. I'm like, no, it looks like this person could start in the elite, or this person should start in the open. And again, it's not a perfect science. It's like, try the level that they recommended. If you feel like you're not being successful and you feeling uncoordinated doing the movements, it's okay to regress and step back. Or likewise, if you feel really accomplished and it didn't feel like it was enough of a workout for you, you can feel free to progress it up to the next level. So you have that ability to just tweak it on your own. So each of the exercises, you'll see that there is three different versions of it. The elite is the more difficult, and then the open is just kind of the basic movement. All right, and then the age group is somewhere in the middle. Right. All right, so if you did complete the fitness assessment, I did send you some results. It should have came in a PDF through your email, and I just kind of want to kind of run through it. And the intention of this, number one, it was to help me, help figure out which group you should be in. But it's also just a good way for you to track your progress, and you can do this test, over time as well. We're going to ask you to reassess yourself at the end of this program so we can evaluate the program ourselves. Afterwards, I expect to see some improvement in all of these measures, and if not, then I'd go back and I look at the program and try to figure out what we could do to make the program better to ensure that in the future. But so all of these tests measure something that's important to Spartan Race. So it's one of the things I love about Spartan Race is that it really requires a broad level of fitness across a lot of dimensions. When I was doing just triathlons, all I needed to be able to do was have good endurance and just be able to go for a long period of time. But in a Spartan race, you need that, and you need strength, and you need power, and you need a little bit of agility and coordination and balance. So it's really in terms of total fitness, it really embraces all of it. So one of the tests I had to do was the 1.5 mile run walk, and that's just to measure aerobic capacity, to measure endurance. And so in the PDF file, I put what your score was, and then actually calculated VO2 max. And so the definition of VO2 max is the maximal amount of oxygen your body can use. The more oxygen your body can use, the longer, the better your endurance, the faster you're able to run. So again, use this just as a benchmark to see where you're at now, and then you can track your progress, over 2019, and hopefully by the end of 2019, you see a big jump in this measurement. Right? We did a push-up test to measure your upper body and muscle endurance, and then we did a test of power. We did the standing long jump, right? And so, in this case, we have this person that jumped 58 inches. And then I also experimenting with different versions of the burpee test. So I had a 10-second test and then also a 2-minute test. One is supposed to measure power. The other one is supposed to measure endurance. And so I'm trying to look for a relationship between the burpee and the 1 mile run, and also the standing long jump, and see if we can come up with our own fitness test. Right? And then finally, in the in the last paragraph, I just indicated which age group, which level you would recommended level based off of your fitness results. So in this case, this person, the recommendation was for the age group. But again, if it doesn't feel right, feel free to move up or down. Right? And then on the last page of that document, I included some norms of averages of various people and their abilities and how they score, just so that you have something to compare to, so you can see where you sit and see where what areas you could improve upon a little bit. So that's why I presented the standard. So again, it's just use it as a baseline, see where you are now, and then track it again later on in the future. Okay. Any questions on that? All right. Any questions in general? All right. Yeah. So I guess it seems like everyone's uh, comfortable. Sit tight, hang out. Uh, your email with your first workout should be coming to you in the next couple of hours, so that you're able to hit the ground running. If you haven't joined the Facebook group yet, please do that, so that you can post your workouts or ask questions. And then here you have my email. If you need, if you need to reach out to me for any reason, you have that. So that's my direct email. So feel free to respond to that. All right. Well, I appreciate everyone's time. I look forward to seeing your progress, and I can't wait to hopefully meet some of you 30 days from now at the SoCal race. Aru.